Well, hello everyone. It's Angela with Treasure Trove Tarot, also known here on YouTube as Mystic Moon. Welcome to my second channel and welcome to a What Spirit Wants You to Know today. And so before we get into this reading, I just wanted to do a little bit of story time. So if you guys would like to skip it, I will try to remember to put a timestamp down below where the reading actually begins. So a lot of you that follow me over on Mystic Moon as well as over here, you know that I had 10 cats and, I've had all these cats for quite some time. And unfortunately, we lost one of our babies and we had to put him down actually on Sunday. So just Sunday of this last week. So anyways, his name is Chibs. And so I wanted to show you guys which of the cats Chibs is. So let me grab a picture here. It's our gray kitty. That's Chibbers. And so I got this little statue here for him just to kind of represent his energy in my readings. Anyways, he was only 8 years old, so obviously not not nearly old enough, you know what I mean? Definitely just something that was a shocker. Anyways, he was our only gray kitty. We've got Harley, who's a black kitty, and then we have 3 white cats. And then obviously the rest of the 5 are kind of like a multicolored. So he was our only gray boy. But anyways, so some of you wanted to know what happened, and I was going to do a Witchy Wednesday reading yesterday, but I just was still really having a hard time. And I'm still having a hard time every single morning that I wake up, and every night, it just seems to be really tough. And the stages of grief are just something that I'm not super familiar with. And I think the reason why is I haven't really had, and I just want to knock on wood when I say this, I haven't really experienced death. And I had a grandma, my mom's mom. Grandpa was, never around or in the picture. So I just had one grandma and, she was older. She had 7 kids, including my mom. And when we were growing up, she just, we weren't super close. First of all, she was a very religious woman. And I just kind of looked at her when I was younger as like this, Bible thumper, so there was just something about that I just couldn't understand. So we weren't really close. And so when she passed away, of course, seeing my mom grieve and stuff like that was really sad. But I didn't really personally grieve that. And I was, I think, 14 at the time. So I was a teenager and just worried about my own life. And then my father's mom and dad, so my grandma and grandpa, on my dad's side, we were really close to them when we were younger, but they ended up moving to North Carolina when I was, I think, a couple of years before I graduated high school. And so it's just like, you lose touch. And so that closeness just kind of fades. And so by the time both of them got sick and passed away, again, I didn't really feel it. I've never had a close friend or anything pass away. When I was younger, we always had a lot of cats, but I don't know what it was. It was just, I think, something about having a cat on your own as an adult, maybe there's more of like a connection made. So anyways, I don't know. I'm just kind of all over the place, but how I came to own Chibs. So this is a little bit of the backstory. Now, it was in about 2004. Yeah, 2004 when I was still living in California. A neighbor down the street, one of her cats had kittens and it only had 2. One of them was a little calico kitten, like a little girl. And then one was a gray cat. And the difference in the size of these cats were just like 3 times. So the gray cat had to have been 3 times the size of this little girl. And my boyfriend and I at the time, I was going to, we were going to take both of them. And the little girl cat was going to be mine and the gray cat was going to be his. Well, anyways, that gray cat, not the gray cat, the calico cat, it ended up passing away. Within 24 hours of being birthed. And it was like all the nutrients and everything was given to the gray cat. And so anyways, that gray cat ended up being Mateo. And he was my cat for 11 years. So that boyfriend and I, we ended up separating and breaking up. But I took, Mateo with me because Mateo was my boy. And he was an only cat. He actually hated all other cats, Anytime he would see a cat in the window, he would just freak out. And so he was just going to be a single cat. And that's who he was. Anyways, when I moved from California to be here in Arizona with Mr. Moon, Mateo came with me, and we moved here in 2010. And it was in 2015, December. Now, Mateo was always like a really big cat, and I'm sure that I just wasn't the greatest when it came to making sure that he didn't overeat, and, he was a plump boy. And so he started I think it was like somewhere in November, he just started urinating, just like randomly in the house. And I just thought that was, really odd. And he absolutely hated to go to the vet. So it was just one of those things where I just tried to do everything that I could just to not take him to the vet, unless he was obviously on, like not doing super well. But that whole incontinence thing was just not really something that I focused on too much. But I think it was the beginning of something. And then he started to vomit every single day. He wasn't having diarrhea or anything, but just he vomited every single day. And I just thought, gosh, this is really odd. So I took him in and I got a blood panel done. Everything was fine. Nothing was showing up. It was just odd. And so I was afraid he was going to get something called fatty liver because he wouldn't eat. He just stopped eating. And so I was, just trying to get him to eat. I would put the soft food into like a syringe and, squirt it in his mouth and stuff just to make sure that, he just wouldn't wither away. And, I took him to the vet to get steroid injections and fluids and all that kind of stuff. And anyways, my entire world stopped for a whole week because I just didn't want to leave my boy. I didn't want to leave him. And there was nothing that I could do. And I just remember I slept with him every single night. Well, he wouldn't sleep with me, but he slept on the floor right next to me. Mr. Moon, because, obviously he was working. I think that during the time I was kind of starting to do readings. I wasn't doing the twin flame stuff yet, but I had opened up my Etsy shop and I was just kind of doing regular readings. I used to have this channel called Madame LeVay Tarot. And so that's kind of the name that I was at under during that time. But anyways, so I wasn't at a place where I had to like be out at an actual day job, but Mr. Moon did. So I let him have his sleep in the room, and then I would stay out on the couch with Mateo. And there was this one night. So we're talking like this is a week of me just like, yeah, I'm going to hang in there. We're going to, you're going to make it, buddy. We're going to keep you going. And one night he made a sound, and it was like a howl, as in, he was just in pain. He just was done. And I knew it. And it killed me deep down inside of my soul. And I remember I called my, my friend Yvette, and Yvette is actually Victoria's mom. And Victoria, as some of you know, used to be my personal assistant. And I told her that, it was time. So we ended up taking him to the emergency vet clinic here. And they got us into a room immediately, and she drove, and I was in the back seat, and I just had my hand in the little Tupperware thing that I had for him, and he was yellow because his liver was failing. Like he was he couldn't survive. And when we took him in, and he just, it's like he was already gone, but he wasn't. But he was. And I'm not trying to say like that made it easier for me, because if he had been bright-eyed, you know what I mean? Like it would have been awful. And he just was already gone. And so it was this peaceful thing. And yes, it tore me up, and I just did not want to let him go. But I felt this like rush of peace, rush over me. And I just was so just at peace that he was no longer suffering, And then, of course, all the guilt rushed over me, as in, oh my gosh, I've been trying to force feed him and keep him alive and all this stuff for an entire week. And, just what a poor baby, It's like, I should just let him go in peace. But, you got to try. So anyways, after he passed away, and I know this sounds kind of shitty now, because like when I think back on it, it's just like, wow, like really? But something came over me where I was like, I want to go to the shelter and I want to get another cat. So I remember we took Mateo's body home, and it was this paper coffin. It was like this cardboard coffin. It was so cute. And Mr. Moon came home that night after work, and then my daughter Kayla came over, and we had a burial in our backyard. And that house, is a house that my daughter and her girlfriend actually rent from us. So Mateo is still in our backyard, and we buried him. And the very next day, my friend Yvette came and picked me up again, and we went to the animal shelter, and Kayla met us there as well. So it was the three of us. And now we're getting into Chibs. But what's interesting is that when I saw Chibs, I was like, wow, because Mateo was a great cat too. But Chibs, even though like he was little, he was 6 months, he wasn't a kitten, but he was like this mini cat. He was really small. And I just was like, wow, like it's just meant to be. Like it's, he's a great cat. He's like my Mateo. But there was this cat named we named him Mr. Bojangles, right? And he was wrapped around Chibs, and they were just like the cutest little pair. And I remember my friend Yvette, as well as Kayla, was like, you got to take the black one. And I'm like, I want the gray one. And so I made a decision. I had to take them both. So that's what we did. We took them both. Okay. So anyways, I remember the first night that we brought them home, I went into the laundry room, which is funny because they like to be in the laundry basket. But I went into the laundry room and I just cried because I felt so guilty, as in I was like trying to replace Mateo so immediately, And I know why I was doing it, because I think I was trying to comfort myself during that grieving process. And I never really truly had that grieving process, even though I did cry my heart out when he was gone. And I felt guilty, that they brought so much joy. And so it was just like this, I can't focus on the loss. I'm focusing on the two lives, that I've just saved from the shelter. Well, when they came from the shelter, they both had an upper respiratory infection. And so I took them to the vet, within a couple of days to get them checked out. And the doctor basically said that they had herpes virus. Rhinotracheitis is, I think, what he said. And so he gave them the antibiotics, and he said it's very common for cats in the shelters to have that. It's basically a herpes virus, and they're always going to have it, and stress and things like that are going to bring it out. And so it was just one of those things. And so anyways, I got them all cleared up. And I remember we had a really nice Christmas together, and it was just really nice to have them for the holidays and stuff. And the one thing that I did notice, though, with, we called him Mr. Bojangles, and we called him Jinx. And obviously we named Chibs Chibs. And the reason that we named Chibs Chibs is because he had this smile on his face. And we were watching Sons of Anarchy at the time. And we just, thought, oh my gosh, like Chibs has that like scar on his face in Sons of Anarchy. And so we just thought, that would be a great name. And then, anyways, my husband, Mr. Moon, he named pretty much, I think, all of our cats, really. So basically, but a few months, I noticed that Mr. Jinx didn't really seem to have solid, bowel movements. It always seemed to be very soft, and he had a lot of gas, and it just seemed like there was something going on intestinally. Is that a word? I don't know. And so I remember I took him to the doctor, and I think they put him on like metronidazole or something, and just said, it's probably something that he still had from the shelter, and it seemed like it got a little bit better, but then it just seemed like it just kind of stayed the same. And so I just kind of, I think, assumed that maybe he just had like an irritable bowel syndrome or whatever. And I did try to change their food a little bit, and it seemed to help a little bit here and there. Anyways, around August of 2016, because remember we rescued them in 2015, December. In August, towards the end of August, all of a sudden I noticed that Mr. Bojangles here had some sort of, it just seemed like he was constantly permeating some kind of fluid, on his back end. And I'd never seen anything like that before, I used to manage an animal hospital for 4 years. I'd never seen anything like that before. I didn't know what it was. And so I took him in. They did a fecal test on him. They tested him for parasites, blood work, all this stuff, everything totally normal. And he just kept going downhill. I couldn't figure it out. He just kept going downhill. And so these were these vets that we were taking him to around here. Well, Mr. Moon, he had known this like real old school vet. We're talking like this rickety building in the middle of Phoenix, totally just run down, but just old school vet. We took him in, and he basically just already knew what was going on. And he said that Mr. Jinx had something called FIP. And FIP is something that actually comes from the coronavirus. Now, you guys, this is even before the pandemic, And now, even though Mr. Jinx was sick, he didn't look like he was on death's door. But the vet basically told us that you need to bring him in right now so we can put him down. And I just remember we were in absolute shock. Like, what? Like, I can't even believe this. What do you mean we're going to take him and put him down? Because he still looked somewhat normal, even though I knew like he was deteriorating, like something was happening here. And the doctor just said, it is a miserable, painful death. You got to bring him in. And so that's what we did. And so we took him down, and I couldn't go in. I couldn't, even though I went in with Mateo, I could not go in with Mr. Jinx. So Mr. Moon, he took him in, and they put him down, and it was just devastating. It was so sad. So anyways, we took him back to our house and also buried him in our backyard. So we had both Mateo and Mr. Jangles with us. And I remember the vet basically saying at the time that they've both been exposed to coronavirus at the shelter, and this mutates in only certain amount of cats, like 10% of cats. It's pretty rare. And Mr. Jenks just happened to be one of the cats that it mutated in, and it lies in the intestinal tract, which might have been why he had this constant, intestinal problem. And he said that if Chibs is going to get it, and it's going to mutate for him, it's going to be, within 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you should be clear. And then after, wait 3 months before you guys get another cat. So, and bleach everything, get rid of all, just anything that could have the germs on it. And obviously we came home. And so I remember for the next 2 weeks, I was just absolutely so fearful that something was going to happen to Chibs, that he was going to suffer the same fate. Obviously he did not. And, I remember I was heartbroken. I really was. I was heartbroken. Even though I'd only known Mr. Jangles for 9 months, it didn't matter. It was just like he was so young, I mean, when we adopted him, he was, I think, 1.5 years. So, he was like 2 years when he passed. Like, it just wasn't long enough. And apparently cats with FIP develop it between 6 months to 2 years. That's usually, but cats can develop it later on. It's just slimmer chance. So anyways, it was just devastating. So in January, so we're talking 4 months later, I remember there was this stray cat, this beautiful white stray cat. She reminds me of Duchess in the Aristocats, the Disney cartoon. And she had a baby with her. And, we were just going to leave it alone. I was feeding them in the backyard. I didn't have any plans to, bring the cat in or do anything. And I just remember, I don't know what happened, but one of the neighbors, the kitten fell into their shed, and the neighbor came over and said, hey, I'm going to kill this cat unless you guys want it. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I just can't even believe I'm hearing this right now. And so Mr. Moon went over and took the cat. Well, anyways, we named her Snowball. And that's Snowball, but we call her Baby now. And I remember her and Chibs just were the best friends. And it was like Chibs was so happy to have a little friend and everything again. And then 4 months later, that's when the mama cat had another litter of kittens. And we were afraid that they were just going to become hurt and killed and just, whatever else. And so that's how we got Jax, Opie, and Harley, which are the other 2 white cats and the black cat. And, everything seemed fine. Chibs, he had his little flare-ups here and there, where he would get a little lethargic or kind of, little, not goopy-eyed really, but just kind of nasally, and it was one of those things where we were just told that, he has this like herpes virus and all the other cats seemed to be fine. And whether it was just totally, irresponsible to have other cats around, that it's just like, they're either going to be in a shelter exposed to all kinds of crap or they're going to be in our house. So anyways, we just decided to, save them and keep them. So anyways, this was Chibs with Harley. And I remember they just used to hang out by my kitchen sink. This is at our old house, by the way, in our kitchen sink. Well, not in it, but I put a little red bed there on the side of the sink. And that's where Chibs just hung out all the time. He just loved it there. And Harley would get up there with him and hang out with him. So anyways, that was pretty much, we were a 5-cat household at that point. And then the following year in 2018, I believe it was, is when the little kittens, we're talking Peaches, Indy, Tiggs, and Sharky. They were just 2.5 weeks old. They were absolutely helpless, abandoned by the mom in a bush. We waited for her to come back. She never came back. We don't know if she got killed. We don't know what happened. Anyways, so we called some organizations, and it's just really interesting how there are so many organizations that will help you with dogs, but not cats. It's like cats are just like these second-class citizens that people don't want to. I don't know. I don't know why that is. But anyway, so we were like, well, we already have 5 cats. What's 4 more? What you're thinking at the time. I wasn't thinking at the time that one day I will have to lose all of these cats and have my heart broken 10 times. I just wasn't thinking that at the time. I just was thinking, this is what needs to happen. These cats are going to die. I want to help them. So it was such a gratifying experience to be able to bottle feed them and raise them. It was just such an amazing experience. It really was. And everybody got along. There was no issues or anything like that. And so here's, Chibs, and he's all cuddled up with Harley and Indy, and just everybody got along, and looks like Indy's doing his normal howl. And anyway, so that was it. And then obviously we got Tinks. Tinks showed up literally on just death's door in July of 2019. It was so hot outside, you guys, and she already had an upper respiratory infection, and we took her to the doctor. We got her all cleared before, we introduced her into the household, got her tested for everything, So she was clear, and, she became our 10th cat. So obviously we had 10 cats. And we moved at the end of 2019 to our house here. And then Kayla and her girlfriend took over of this original house. And then we moved here. And I remember when we moved here, the cats just all seemed like they got like a flu. And it was just the stress of the moving. And I remember baby, she got the sickest, and we did take her to the vet because I just was afraid like she was not going to be able to, like clear this. So we got her on antibiotics and stuff, and she made it. And then everybody has been fine ever since, no issues. So anyways, now that we're almost 30 minutes into this, you guys might want to know what happened to Chibs. And it's still a mystery, That's my little baby right there. So a couple days ago, I went ahead and I ordered some things. And this is a picture I have I'm getting a pillow so he's going to be looking at me every single day on a pillow. I'm going to put on the end of the couch. He's just so cute. Look at him. He's just such a doll. Anyway, so this was at the very beginning of June. So earlier in the month here. Chibs just seemed to come down with like this cold, but it was like this head cold. And he had so much congestion in his chest, and he was completely congested in his nasal cavity. I had never seen him so congested. Thank God I had prednisone, which is steroids, as well as Clavamox, which is an antibiotic, on hand. I pretty much have like a freaking pharmacy here. And so because, you call a vet these days, and I don't know if it's because of the whole COVID thing, or I don't know what it is, but it just seems like every place that I called was like, we don't have anything available for 2 months. It's just like, wow, okay, so, what are we supposed to do? And so I just decided to treat him at home. And so I put him on antibiotics. I gave him breathing treatments every day. I would take steaming water and I would tent us both and just, allow him to breathe in the steam. I would, just take care of him all day long. And he was like just really out of it for 5 days. But then it seemed like the antibiotics started kicking in. And he was still eating during this time too, you guys. So it's not like he was having any other symptoms. He still was alert. He still was eating. He was just, napping a lot. And he finally got through. And so I just remember one morning, I was like, wow, like I don't hear that congestion anymore. Like he's clear. This is awesome. We beat it. This is great. And then he started with the vomiting and the diarrhea. And I just was like, wow, like I what is this symptom? Like, what is this from? And I'm thinking, it's from the medication. That's what it's from. It's from all the medication. I look up all the side effects of the medication, and I'm like, that's what it is. It's medication. But it lasted for, 3 days. And I thought, something's not right. So I called the doctor, and of course, same thing. We don't have anything for, a month. And I was just like, wow, okay. So I just remember like thinking to myself, okay, I either take him to the emergency clinic, which of course, as you guys know, it's like freaking 3 times what it is a regular vet, or I just wait and see what happens. And I remember I just waited another day, and he vomited in our hallway, and it literally, you guys, it was like human-sized vomit. Like I just could not believe this much vomit came out of him. And so I happened to just call his original vet, because I think it was back in like 2018. I did take Chibs in to the vet because he just still was exuding, upper respiratory signs, like just more than normal. And, the doctor told me that he had something going on with his like oral, like his teeth, like something was like, his gums or something. And so they literally removed all of his teeth except for his canines. And I remember as soon as they did that, it's like he was a totally different cat. He had like all of this energy, and it was like, that was the fix, it was just this gum thing. And so I called this particular vet because he was an existing patient there. I completely like forgot about that place. And it was a godsend because I think that they were so busy, but one of the techs in the middle, like the vet tech, was answering the phones. And she, of course, wanted to know, is your pet a patient here? That makes a difference. Yes, as a matter of fact. What's going on with him? Let me go ahead and call the doctor. And she said, bring him down tomorrow. So it was just like, wow. Finally, we have some help here, someone that's willing to help us. So this was Wednesday of last week. So I took him in, and the doctor was feeling him, and he said that he felt a lump in Chibs' abdomen. And he says the only way to be for sure to figure out what that could be is I'm going to take some x-rays. Is it obstruction? What is it? And I said, do whatever you need to do. Took an x-ray. He says, I can see he's got a lot of gas, but there's still this mass that I don't know what it is until I'm going to have to look deeper. So let's do an ultrasound. So, okay, fine. Did the ultrasound. So I remember Kayla and I, we grabbed a bite to eat. We came back. And, Chibs had been sedated, because he doesn't like going to the vet. And the doctor basically sat me down and he said, I believe what's going on with him is he's got intestinal lymphoma. And I was just like, what do you mean? What is that? And he says, it's cancer. And I'm like, I just can't believe what I'm hearing. I can't believe this. I was in total shock, I think. And he says, well, these are our options, we can open him up. He was able to get some fluid by taking a syringe and putting it into the mass and taking some cells from it that he said he was going to send to get a cytology done on it. And he says we can open him up. We can just, take a biopsy of the lumps. We can wait for the results. Or we could start chemo. And I'm just like, whoa, opening him up and starting chemo when we don't even know what it is. I'm just like, ooh. So we decided that we would wait for the report. They gave Chibs Serenia, which is anti-vomiting and anti-nausea, and then steroid injection, fluids, things like that. So when I took him home on Wednesday night, he wasn't really wanting to eat, which is not a surprise because I was like, they just filled him up with all the stuff. But then Thursday morning, he was bright-eyed, and, I feed the cats their wet food every morning. And I put the food in front of him, and he couldn't eat. And I just thought, gosh, it's got to be the medication, that's just causing him to maybe not have this appetite. And then I noticed that he was salivating out of his mouth. Again, I looked it up. It looked like that salivation was from a Serenia side effect. So I was just like, okay, this is what this is. It's, he's salivating. This is what this is. So I remember on Thursday night, I had gotten some taquitos or something, and I was like, well, maybe this chicken or whatever that's in it will be, something that he'll try to eat. And so I remember he put it in his mouth, but then he would just let it drop out. And I was like, gosh, this is so strange. It's like he wants to eat, but as soon as it's in his mouth, it just falls out. He can't keep it in his mouth. And he wasn't vomiting or gagging or anything like that. And so I just thought, he's got this appetite, but he can't keep it in his mouth. So anyways, he wasn't eating. He hadn't eaten anything. He was drinking water, though. That was good. But he was still having the diarrhea and everything like that. No vomiting, though. And I think it was because the Serenia was keeping everything down. So I took him in again on Friday. And the doctor says, I feel 3 more lumps. And I just thought, how could this be? What? I don't even know. It just doesn't make any sense. And so the doctor said that I'm going to be getting the results back tonight. I'll give you a call, and then we can do surgery on Monday. So took Chibs home. I tried to give him food. Again, eat the food, just dropped out of his mouth. So I was convinced that he had some sort of dysphagia, and that it's like an oral dysphagia where you can't swallow. And I was convinced that this is what he had. And then, of course, I'm reading up on it, and it's like he's going to need feeding tubes and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought, oh, my gosh. And if he's got this intestinal lymphoma, getting him to have all that chemo and all that other stuff. And I was really struggling. I just did not know, what am I going to put him through kind of thing. So the doctor called that night, and he says, well, it doesn't look, it looks like it's inconclusive. Like either I didn't get enough cells, or it's not what I thought it was. So I'm going to, so I'll give you the weekend to think about it. We'll open them up on Monday and take a look, get some better samples. So that way we'll know for sure. So that's fine. So Saturday morning, again, he woke up, wanted to eat, couldn't eat. And I'm like, it's this thing. He can't put it in his mouth. So I let him go outside for the first time in our backyard. We only let the cats, the 4 cats. And the reason why, you guys, is because, first of all, Chibs never really showed any interest in wanting to go outside. The other cats are a little skittish, And my 4 cats that we, raised since they were babies, they're just real calm. If we call them, they come to us. It's just a different type of a connection. Harley, Baby, Opie, and Jack's very skittish. If you try to grab them, they're going to run, So when we go outside with our cats, we know it's controlled. It's all fenced and everything. They can't go anywhere, but it just, a little bit easier to deal with. So I just had this feeling I wanted to let Chibs outside. And of course he walked outside. Yes, he was losing a lot of weight. So, if you saw the back of him, it's like you could see his, spine and stuff like that. But he looked so normal, He looked so normal to me. Not really, but he looked normal, And as a matter of fact, this was the last picture, and I've already framed it, of course, but that's the last picture that I got of him. Look at how good he looks, right? Look at how good he looks. That was the last picture I got of him. We came in, and I remember I called my daughter on the phone, and I was just talking to her about, just Chibs and his condition and everything. All of a sudden, he started vomiting, you guys, and it looked like these brown bits. And so of course, I look up on the internet and it says it can either be blood, or if it looks like it's coffee grounds, which actually didn't look like it was coffee grounds, that it could have been like feces, but it looked more like it was blood tinged. And I thought, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is not good. So I was talking to Mr. Moon, and he's like, he's had a lot of animals his entire life, and he doesn't necessarily trust that every single time you take your cat to the vet, or your animal to the vet, that they're really going to be able to do anything except for run more labs and just all this other stuff. And so he just thought if we could just get some nutrition in him, then maybe, just maybe, he can bounce back or something. I don't know. I guess we were just delusional. So we went and got him something called NutriCal, and it's just like this paste, and we thought, well, because he can't eat, maybe this paste, that will give him some nutrition. And so we gave him that, and, the vomiting stopped. He didn't throw up anymore. I gave him actually some more Serenia, but the salivation, just kept happening. And, I said a prayer to myself. I broke down, and I wanted to take him into the emergency clinic and just have them open him up immediately, and just to figure out what the hell it was. Like I was just teeter-tottering on that decision all day. And I pretty much just decided that, well, I didn't decide. Mr. Moon just said, because I was just hysterical, just said, look, let's just see how he does throughout the night. Let's see how he is in the morning, and then if he's still in this condition, we'll take him in. And I said a silent prayer, and I said, if I wake up in the morning and he does not come for the food, then he's telling me something, like he's telling me that we got to go in, or whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So I woke up in the morning, I walked out. And there was this box that we had made, it was like these Amazon boxes, and we had cut holes in them so the cats could go in there. And that's where he was kind of residing all week, is in that box. I walked in, he was not in that box, and I didn't know where the hell he was. So I just was looking everywhere for him. And he had positioned himself between one of the, just like this bookcase thing in our couch. And he was just laying on the floor, and is just as shitty as this is, but I just want to show you guys just what he looked like. He was not passed away or anything like that, but he was just laying there. That's how he looked. He was just laying there. I put that little washcloth underneath him, so that way his face wasn't completely into the concrete. He was just so lifeless. He was so lifeless. And the color was gone from his eyes. It's like they were all black, you guys. They were all black, completely dilated. And I thought, oh my God. And I knew in that moment, it was like that decision I made with Mateo. I knew that it was his way of telling me, I've suffered enough. You have to let me go. You have to let me go. And so I remember I made this thing here for him, like this plastic storage thing, and I put his little blanket in there, and I laid him in there, and I took a little picture of him through it, and he just laid down, face down in it. He just couldn't even move. When I picked him up, you guys, his entire belly was distended with like a liquid. It was just distended with like a liquid. And anyways, I woke Mr. Moon up, and I said, we got to take him down. We got to take him down. We got to take him down. And so Mr. Moon drove. I stayed in the back seat. I had my hand up against his lungs, his chest the whole way, just like, just to make sure, like, is he still alive? And I felt him still breathing in and out. It's like his body was there, but, like he was not there. And anyways, so we got there, and they immediately put us in the room, and it was just interesting because it was the same exact room that Mateo had gone in. So anyways, Mr. Moon held him. I don't know what it was. There was something about, I didn't want to feel his last breath. I just couldn't. So anyways, that was him. He was just laying there in Mr. Moon's lap. He was just laying there. I just took a picture of him. And they, they came in, and we said our goodbyes. I had pretty much already said my goodbyes here at the house, just told Chibs he would always be in my heart. And that I hated losing him, and just all the stuff I wanted to say. And then it was so peaceful. He didn't move at all. But when they were getting the medication ready, when he was still laying in Mr. Moon's arms, he did take this really deep breath, and you could hear the struggle, like his lungs were filling up. Like he was dying. There was no saving him. He was dying. And anyways, so we let him go. It was so hard. I got him privately cremated, which means that it's not communal. It means that they cremate him. It's just him. It's just his ashes. You had to pay extra for that. I wanted just him. And I got a little paw print, a little urn. So anyways, they actually called a couple minutes before I started this reading and said that his ashes are already back. And so I can't wait to go and pick them up. And not like, ooh, I'm just so excited. But, it's just like my baby's going to be back with me. So, yeah. Anyways, it was horrible. Sunday, I couldn't eat at all. I felt so devastated. And what I realized, of course, I'm devastated because I love him so much. And I'm going to miss him so much. It's because I don't think I properly grieved my other cat, because I got him and Mr. Jinx, and it's like, then after Mr. Jinx, then all these other cats came. I didn't properly grieve. And so it was like every single time I was saying Chibs' name out loud, all of a sudden I was saying Mateo. So I knew it was connected, I knew it. I knew it was connected. And I hadn't dealt with it. At all. So anyways, it was really, really rough. So Monday, it was just hard. Monday was horrible. And Monday, what I did is I sent all the pictures that I had of Chibs. I sent them to Walgreens, and then I picked them up on Tuesday. And then I went and I got bunch of frames, and I just put them all over the house, and I ordered products with his face on it, and it just made me feel better, And then, but what I forgot to tell you guys is that the doctor called on Monday, and then the doctor said that he was just calling to see how Chibs was doing, and I just I told him that we had to put him down, and that, he was distended and everything. And he said, by the way, Chibs tested positive for coronavirus. And I thought, coronavirus? And I thought, oh my God, could that have been what happened? Could he have contracted this FIP as well? Just like Mr. Jinx. There is no real test for FIP, you guys. It's a very, very complex thing. And it's not something that a lot of doctors will just automatically assume. Like, I even said it to the vet when I first took him in last Wednesday. I said, do you think this could be FIP? And I remember the doctor saying, I don't think so. Like, unless they're showing those signs, you wouldn't know. Anyways, the scariest thing about this, you guys, is that coronavirus, pretty much all cats will be exposed to it, and 1 out of 200 cats will develop this mutated virus called FIP that will kill them, and it's something that cats will not survive no matter what. It is a 100% fatal disease. It's not in dogs, but it is in cats. And so there's obviously some sort of live virus here, and the other cats that I have, just like 2 weeks after Mr. Bojangles was gone, I had to wait to see if Chibs would exude these signs. And so basically, I have the rest of my 9 babies that could technically come down with this. And so it's just really scary. It's really scary. And it's just one of those things, like, did we bring it in our shoes? It just makes me have so much regret of all the things that I could have done different. Could have bleached the house every fucking day. Maybe just kept him healthier with just supplements, or just like make sure that his immune system was just 100%, just been beating myself up thinking I could have done something different to save him. So all I can do now is just try to be better for my other cats and just pray to God that they'll survive and that they won't be succumb to this. So anyways, as far as rescuing any other cats or anything like that, I will not expose any other cats to anything that could just be here. I've done all kinds of research on this particular disease and how it works and where it can stay, and just there's all kinds of things like litter and everything that can different litters that you can use to make sure, or different tests that you could do for the cats to see are they carrying it, are they shedding it, just all kinds of things, because it's kind of a mystery. Did he just get coronavirus and then it happened to get him, or did he have this lying in his intestinal tract for 7 years and then it mutated? It was just reactivated. It's a mystery. I don't understand it. We don't know what those lumps are. Were those lumps an accumulation of the liquid that was starting to form? All I know is that this particular virus, and the way that it took him within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, he went from this totally upright, walking around in the backyard, to this. How does that happen? FIP. So I'm not a doctor, obviously. I can't say that that's exactly what it was. Maybe he did have this cancer. Maybe it was just a combination of things. I don't know. But all I know is that I have raked myself over the coals, and have this new anxiety now that, something bad is going to happen. And I just have to remember. I have to remember. I just have to remember all the good times. So, anyways, I've I've been communicating with him just, in my mind and my heart and things like that. And, I asked him to like show up in my dream last night. And even though he didn't like actually show up in my dream, it's interesting because I was kind of like in that state of, I wasn't exactly asleep, but I wasn't awake either. And I got this very vivid feeling and vision that he jumped up on the bed and came to me. So it's like I knew that was him, his spirit like coming into that just twilight state, whatever I was in. And so that was awesome. And I have this like little memorial that I built for him in this corner of the kitchen. He used to like sleep on this round thing. It's like not a ramekin, but like a roundabout thing. Lazy Susan. And he used to sleep on that all the time. And so I put like this little picture thing up there for him. And every single night, because I always give cats treats, I always leave a treat out for him. And the first night that I did it was not last night, but the night before. And when I woke up in the morning, it was gone. It was gone. And maybe one of the other cats ate it. Totally fine. But the fact that it was gone, it was like, it just felt like, he's still here. And I did it again last night, and that one's still here. But it was just really cool, that it was gone. And there's a playlist that I've made for him. And it's interesting because there's just certain songs that are speaking to me right now. And the songs that are speaking to me. And it was one that I feel like he sent to me, because I've just been so unhappy and just so depressed and miserable and everything for the last, obviously since it happened. But it was Don't Worry, Be Happy. So I believe it was I think it was Tuesday night, actually. Yeah, it was Tuesday night. It was right before I was about ready to go to bed. And my stepson was up in the family room watching TV, which he normally doesn't do. But he was just like, yeah, I'm going to stay out here for a little bit. I'm like, okay. So literally, guys, right before I was walking to the bedroom for the night, there was a song on one of the movies, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And I just felt like it was a direct message from Chibs, And so I decided the next morning to make a playlist, because every single time I'm in the car, I can't listen to any music. I can't watch anything. Everything just, I don't know what it is. It just triggers me. So just listening to that song makes me feel better. And then another song was Don't Worry, Baby from the Beach Boys. And then Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Iz. And When You Wish Upon a Star, from Pinocchio. So there's just like a couple of songs that are coming to me, and I feel like, they're songs from him. And I wished upon a star last night when I was outside in the backyard, and I asked that he would come to me in a dream when he was ready. And so the fact that he did come into, the bedroom last night onto the bed I felt like my dream coming true, my wish coming true. So anyways, you guys, that is everything in a nutshell. And today was the first time that I posted a reading on Instagram. And, this is the first time I'm posting, I think, in a week on Treasure Trove. I did post a reading on Tuesday on Mystic Moon. And the reason that I did it is because I needed some form of normalcy. I needed some form of just trying to push through. And then I did have the intention yesterday of doing the Witchy Wednesday, and I just thought, I gotta honor it. I gotta honor my feelings. I just gotta honor my grief, and I gotta do it when I'm ready. And I just felt like I was ready to talk about this. And I was just ready to share it with you guys. So that's what we've got. And I really only intended for this to be 30 minutes at the most. But it looks like it's turned into an hour. If you guys are still here, thank you so much. And when I posted the video of Chibs the other day, and you guys were so sweet, just all your kind, just thoughts and the things that you guys said and your prayers. And I know I mentioned it on Mystic Moon 2 on Tuesday, and just in the comment section, you guys have just been so incredibly supportive. And I just want to say I appreciate it so much. And my friend Michelle from Wing and Bell, the one that makes my organites, she actually is going to make an organite with Chibs ashes. Not all of them, just some. And so I'm really excited that I'm going to get those back today, because I can't wait to have that piece. So basically, Chibs is with me in spirit. He always will be. And, he may work as a spirit guide for my readings and things like that. And, fuck, I just miss him. I just miss him so much. He was such a cool cat. And I just love him. So that's it. Thank you guys for listening. And what we're going to do, this is my little Chibbers here, my little Chib statue. Isn't he so cute? Kind of looks like him, right? This one kind of looks like him. Look at his face. So, we're going to just clear up the energy here, because I know that there was one person, and I don't think that they meant it in a negative way, even though it still was kind of like, wow, like, if you feel like you can't read or if you feel like you can't listen to my readings because, I'm going through something or whatever, it's totally fine. I get it. But this is life. I'm only human, and I still obviously have a job that I, do. And so, I'm just going to keep pushing forward and doing readings. I'm not doing any personal readings right now, so that's a really good thing, but you guys just take what resonates and obviously get rid of anything. So we're just asking Spirit to come through and just cleanse any energy that might be lingering that could affect this reading in any kind of a negative way. And we're just asking here, Spirit of my baby Chibs and any other spirit guides that want to come through with messages for us today. So it's going to basically be just an open reading, with whatever wants to come through. And of course, we're using all kinds of kitty cat decks here today in honor of Chibs. And we're going to get some messages from the other side, but that can be from anyone on the other side, just for healing and empowerment purposes, you guys. So anyways, that's what we've got. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off with my Tall Tales Cat Crew Oracle. And this deck has all 10 of my cats, including Chibs. So let's see what wants to come through for messages for us today. What does Spirit want to bring through today? Hey guys, look at this. The very first kitty. Whew. The very first message is use your intuition from Chibs. So that's just confirming that he is here in this reading, and he is telling us to trust our intuition. And I think it's very easy for us to doubt what we're receiving, whether they're signs or just, and we want to doubt it because we can't see it, but you have to have faith, you have to have faith, and you have to just trust and choose to believe. And I think that's why Chibs is bringing this message here to us today, is because maybe we're doubting. And I know that I have been doubting, like, I'm just fooling myself. I'm just fooling myself that he's sending me these messages. I'm fooling myself that he's here, And I think that he's just telling us in the very beginning of the reading, you guys, is that your spirit team is always with you. Trust your intuition, what's coming to you. These signs that you're receiving, they're here for a reason. So trust it. I love it. Thank you, Chibs. Oh, and just so you guys know, it's funny, a lot of people were referring to Chibs as chips, as in like corn chips. And it was totally cute. And you guys can absolutely call them chips if you want to, but it's Chibs with a B. B as in boy, from Chibs from Sons of Anarchy. So just so you guys know. But Chibs, all right, what do we need to know here about trusting our intuition? Wow, we have the Sea King. And this is kind of cool, you guys. I'm not trying to make it all about me and what I'm going through. But just yesterday, someone had said that if Chibs was going to be any card in the tarot deck, that he would be the King of Cups. And he's come up several times as the King of Cups with the readings that I've listened to, as well as the readings that, I've just kind of done on my own. He's here again with the King of Cups. That's the Sea King. King of Cups is Scorpio's energy. So The King of Cups is about mastering our emotions. This could be somebody that you really have a emotional tie to. So let's just say right now you're trying to figure out how someone feels. What does your intuition tell you? That's what you're supposed to lean into. You're supposed to trust your intuition on how this person feels or what's going on or what's happening here. And now we have the Fire King. Wow. So this right here is the King of Wands. So we've got Leo's energy. We've got Scorpio. And now we have Leo. So we have water and fire. So this could just be two personalities, two people, you and your counterpart. This could be the masculine energy in your connection here. So this, to me, I feel is about you mastering your emotions about this King of Wands, if this is who you guys are dealing with, or just learning to trust just what you feel passionate about, letting that drive you, letting that drive your healing, letting that drive just whatever it is that you feel drawn to right now. Lean into that because it's going to be very healing for you. It's maybe being creative or, doing something in a creative way will be very therapeutic for you. And so I haven't scrapbooked in a really long time, and I actually plan to scrapbook starting with Chibs photos. And then I just realized I want to start just scrapbooking, period. So I'm using this as an inspiration to get me back into scrapbooking. So that does speak to me as well. And we have the Eight of Sky, which is the Eight of Swords energy, you guys. So the Eight of Swords right there is about stuck energy. It's about going round and round in the same circles over and over again in our head, being trapped by our own thoughts, maybe our own fears or anxieties. So this to me is a way out. This is a way through this energy. So if you guys are going through anything major right now, whether it's stress of, work or just your relationships with other people, just where you're at, it could just even be your own depression. Really lean into creative pursuits. Find creative ways to have fun again. Find creative ways or creative solutions to your issues or your problems. Spend time doing things that you really enjoy, things that light your soul on fire. So this is exactly what we're being reminded to do right now, is really just lean into more passionate, creative, fun activities to get through emotionally trying times. I love that. All right, let's go ahead and get another message here. We have the Two of Winter, which is the Two of Swords. So it says here, procrastination and worrying what others will think is blocking you from making a decision. If you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your inner guidance. Okay. So right now, if you guys are kind of stuck in between, let's just say two things, because there are two kings here. So two options, two feelings, two decisions, just a decision. This is basically saying here, stop worrying about what other people will think. Stop worrying about how other people will perceive you. Instead, trust your own intuition in this matter. Trust your own intuition and just worry about how something makes you feel instead of worrying about how everybody else feels. Do what works for you. Do what makes you feel good at this time. So it's therapeutic here. And we have the dogs. So we've got the dogs and the cats. I love it. So if you feel stuck, if you feel confused, if you feel depressed, if you feel sad, really just learn to lean more into your creative side in order to help bring you tranquility and peace and healing. That's a beautiful message. Okay. So let's go ahead and get another. Yeah. Look at this. Passions. What and who ignites your passions? It's time to do sacral chakra work. Wow. So this is exactly this message coming through with this King of Wands. That King of Wands is very much about what lights your soul on fire. What ignites you? What excites you? What makes you feel alive? This will be very emotionally healing for you guys, especially if there's something you can't control. So I think that that's one of the hardest things for me And like I told you guys before, I don't really have a lot of experience with death, which I guess is a good thing. But the one thing that I just was really, really struggling with, and where I was going back and forth in the same loop, almost stuck, is that I can't control this. I absolutely cannot control what's happening. I don't want to accept what is happening. Why can't I go back and change it? You know? So this right here is, I feel, telling us when it comes to things that you cannot control and things that you can't change, instead focus on the things that you can change or that you can control, which is how you feel or what you're doing on a daily basis. Do things that ignite your passion. Do things that make you feel happy and inspired, instead of staying stuck indoors or being depressed or thinking about something over and over and over again. Really try to break the cycle right now. So I feel like Spirit is using my grief as an example of what you guys could be dealing with or going through, and how hard it is to break out of it. Absolutely. It's so hard to break out of that, but we got to find a way, or else we're just going to be stuck forever. We might feel like this 8 and 2 is 10 of swords. 10 of swords is just feeling dead on the floor and just feeling like, we just can't move. And we're not going to move if we just stay in that position. So at some point, we're going to have to pull ourselves up. At some point, we are going to have to get back to living. At some point, we are going to have to heal. And we are going to have to feel it too. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with feeling things. There's nothing wrong with mourning, right? But at the same time as you're mourning, do things that make you feel happy. And for me, what made me happy is putting Chibs' face everywhere in my house. That really made me happy. So even though I was crying when I was doing it, and even though I cry when I see his picture, it doesn't matter. That also makes me happy. So it's just a way of pulling yourself out of that stuck energy. Okay. So thank you, Chibs, for that message. I absolutely love that message. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and let's see what Goddess has a message for us, okay? What Goddess has a message for us. Oops. Well, this one wanted to come out. Oh, look. Laughter. So I don't know how to say this goddess's name. Uzumi, maybe? But it says laughter. I love it. Like, do things that bring you joy. Do things that make you feel light. Do things that bring you to maybe even just like tears of joy, maybe even laughter yoga, watching funny movies, having a good time, spending time with family and friends, being silly, maybe just remembering the good times. But this is about lifting your spirits. So it's all about lifting the spirits here. Ah, we have the Chariot. That's beautiful. Chariot is Cancer's energy, which we are currently in Cancer season. So this is the road ahead, basically. This is movement. We have to move forward. We have to carry on. And we will laugh again. And it's funny because I was asking myself, will I ever laugh again? And I remember it brought me back to that movie, Sex and the City, #1, where Big doesn't show up at the altar, and she is in Mexico with, the girls. And she says, will I ever laugh again? And I think it was Samantha that says, when something's truly funny, yes, you will laugh again. And then we all know that Charlotte, crapped her pants in Mexico because she drank the water, and then they all busted up laughing, So, and then Carrie, she, as hard as it was, she carried on. So I think that's interesting. And we have the Tower. So the Tower is devastation. The Tower is shock. The Tower doesn't really feel good when it strikes our lives. But sometimes, you guys, I almost feel foolish for saying this because I don't align with this quite yet, because I can't figure out the reason at all. But sometimes things do happen for a reason. And you might be in the same spot as me, as in, you hear that, but you don't feel that yet. Maybe with time, as we keep putting one foot in front of the other, maybe with time, something will make sense. Something will be revealed to us. Something we'll understand, maybe the purpose behind something. But maybe we're just in too much pain right now to really see the value here of something. And I think for me personally, I'm going to be more attentive to my cat's health. I'm going to be more on top of certain things that maybe I wasn't. So maybe I will just end up being a better cat mom from this situation. So that could be the positive here, but it's still hard to even think in those terms. So maybe whatever you guys are going through, it's a part of your path. It's a part of your journey. And, sometimes we do have to lose things, which fucking sucks. Oh my God. People get sick, people die. We lose people that we love or our animals. And that's just what I'm getting here, is that things fall apart, people break up, things end, and it just sucks, but it's a part of the journey. We've got to realize that this stage will not always be a miserable one. If we're sad right now, it won't always be this hard. Now we have the Sky Tom, which is the Knight of Swords, Gemini's energy. So Gemini, Knight of Swords is about movement. So I like that we have here. Oh, I love this. We have Dalmatians. I didn't even notice that right there. But we have movement with the Chariot as well as the Knight of Swords. It's about deliberate movement, getting more in our kind of logical mindset where certain things have to get done. And as emotional as I am right now, again, there's that side of me that's like, okay, I've got these channels, I've got this business, I've got to carry on. So there's parts of you, like Gemini kind of has like two sides of themselves, right? Like that duality, where there's a part of you that's still in that mourning period, and then there's that part of you that's can tap into your logical side and just kind of push through and get certain things done. And so I feel like we're being asked to give ourselves a break, be gentle to ourselves throughout this process. And sometimes we might even have to fake it until we make it. Okay? You will laugh again. You will be happy again. It might be a while, but you will. And I just feel like that's what Spirit's trying to tell us in this particular message, is that we will not always feel this pain. We will not always be experiencing these issues. And, that we will laugh again. We just need to trust that. Okay? So let's go ahead and get another message here. We have barriers. You are facing a brick wall. It's time to aim higher and fly over the wall. Pray for divine guidance and believe that you can overcome all obstacles with faith. That's beautiful. So right now you guys might feel like your current path is being blocked, or that something is falling apart that you can't control, or that something needs to go away, but you're afraid to let something go because it's going to be painful and you know it. So I feel like that's what this message really is all about, is that this particular challenge, you will overcome it, okay? You will overcome it. Pray for divine guidance. Have faith that your prayers are being answered. Have faith that you will get through this. Have faith that your spirit team is right by your side and that they're helping you over that wall right now if you are up against a wall, and that you will experience happiness once again. Oh, it's such a beautiful message. All right, so let's go ahead and see what specific spirit animal is with us right now. So we're going to go ahead and actually get 3. What spirit animals are with us right now, and what messages do they have for us? We have the hawk spirit. I love that. Let spirit be your guide. So if you guys are seeing birds right now, that might be something significant, especially a hawk. Okay, that means that spirit is guiding you in some way. Whatever you've asked for, whatever you have inquired about is being answered when you either see a bird or a hawk. Okay. And this is kind of interesting because I've never in all my life like typed in pet reading ever into YouTube. But I did these last few days because I just wanted so badly to just get some sort of information, messages from Chibs. And what's interesting is that when I would listen to these certain pick of cards, and there's not very many of them out there, by the way, but a snake kept coming up as a message with Chibs. And I'm like, what does that mean? I don't have a snake. We do have a toy snake here, but I was like, maybe that's what it is, just kind of connecting me with, yes, you've chosen the right pile. This is, this is your message. But it happened 3 times, you guys. And after the 3rd time, I'm like, there's no coincidence. And then I started thinking about what does the snake have to do with Chibs? And I finally got it. Chibs never meowed. I don't know if he had like it's not like he couldn't meow, but like he just went like it sounded like a hiss. It was just funny. He just never really meowed. So when you guys hear my cats meowing, it was never Chibs. It was always usually Indy or somebody else. But I asked Mr. Moon after the 3rd time I've heard this message in the last couple of days, and I said, "Hey, what would you say Chibs' meow sounded like?" And he said, "A hiss." And I go, "Now think of an animal that matches that." And he goes, "Snake." And I was like, there it is. There it is. That was a message specifically that Chibs is with me. That was a specific message that what I'm getting right now, trusting my intuition that I'm correct. So, but also in the readings, it was about bird spirits. And so I realized like every morning that I take the cats out, obviously there's always birds in the morning, but it just was something about the comfort and the peace of seeing the birds and, that his spirit was with me. So that's just an example of the way that spirit works, the way that spirit guides through signs and confirmation. Oh, we have electric ill spirit. Ooh, this is cool. I don't think I've ever drawn this card. Never seen it. Bring your ideas to life. Yeah. So remember, there's something about creativity, our passions, certain ideas that you guys have. It is time for you to bring those to life. So you right now are being guided by spirit to bring certain ideas that you have to life, meaning it's time. And then we have the elephant spirit. Oh, learn from the past. Yeah. Learn from the past. That's a tough one. We could beat ourselves up all day long and say, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And believe me, I've done all that this week. But all I can do is learn and be better. So that's what we're getting is that message. All you can do is go up from here. It's not going to help you to wallow in the past. It's not going to help you to blame yourself for past mistakes. Learn what you can. I love that. Yeah, we got the devil's card here with the Siamese cat, and it's a kitty. Yeah, so it says, you may feel like you're trapped in your situation, but that's not true. Be careful not to overly focus upon material wealth and break free of negative thinking. This is all connected for me because we have this 8 of Swords, which means like we could really be stuck in our heads, right? We could really be stuck in that energy. And then we have the 2 of Swords here as well, right? The 2 of Swords and then that 8 of Swords. So that just tells me and confirms that whatever we're stuck in, whatever pattern we have going through our brains over and over again, just like we just keep coming back to it. We keep circling back to it, blaming ourselves, hating ourselves, feeling miserable. It's there. There's something about it that we need to look at, but we don't need to dwell in it. We don't need to drown in that energy anymore because that is just our ego. That's our ego. It's not our hearts. That's our ego doing a number on us. That is the devil's energy that's telling you, be miserable, don't have faith, everything sucks, go to the dark side, be pissed off, be angry, lose faith. That's always an option for us. And Spirit is basically saying here, just, try to do what you can to not go to that dark side, because the dark side is always waiting for us to lean into the dark side. So that way, we will just give up on everything. Absolutely. Give up on everything. And now we have the 4 of Autumn, which is the squirrel. It says, be cautious about living a life of extremes or seeing things in black and white terms. So there is something about thinking, the way that we're thinking here, in black and white. Consider, for example, whether you are spending too much time or too much versus hoarding your wealth, or giving too much emotionally versus building walls that keep people out. Wow. Okay. So remember, this card came up and this was something about our barriers. Do we have a brick wall up? Do we have a wall up because we've been hurt so much in our lives that where we feel like, I'll never love again, I'll never trust anyone again? That's the ego right there. That's the ego. The ego puts us in fear. The ego says never again. The ego is never able to forgive. So we are being asked to let up, let go. You can see that squirrel is hoarding, the little acorns. And we are being asked to let go a little bit, because it's now what it's doing is it's creating a barrier. It's creating this barrier here of us enjoying our lives, of us experiencing life. It's better to have it's better to have lost than never loved at all. And I was thinking about that statement the other day, and I just thought, I just hated it. I hated it. I hated it because I was in such pain. And I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't take it back. I'd rather have all that time with Chibs and go through the loss than never to have experienced him ever at all, So it's like we just have to figure out, what is real and what was worth it to us, and leave the rest, pretty much. And we have the Chariot again, which says, I just got this song, life goes on. Yes, it does. It does go on, but you take the memories and the love with you. You don't have to leave anything behind. You don't have to be stuck, though, either. You don't have to be stuck. You can keep carrying on, and you can take the lessons with you, and you can take the love with you. Yeah. So we have the horses. It says you can successfully balance various or opposing energies at once through determination and focus. You've earned the rewards and recognition you're receiving. So this again is that duality. We can grieve, we can be upset, but we can also keep pushing forward and carry on. Time, I don't know that it heals all wounds, but time does take away a lot of either suffering, or it balances things out for us. I don't know that it takes it away. It just balances things for us. And I feel like that's what this Chariot is. So this is just telling me here, you guys, that Cancer season is going to be a season of moving forward. It's going to be a season of movement. It's going to be a season of moving through pain, moving through things instead of staying stuck or hung up. We're going to be able to transition more peacefully is what I'm getting here. And that's beautiful. So, the ego is here. It serves us in moments. It helps us to get in touch with our shadow, our pain, whatever is there. We need to acknowledge it. But we're not meant to reside in that ego. We're meant to let it fall away and help us to transform and resurrect into something much stronger. Okay? That's really what this reading is all about. It is about whatever mistakes that we've made, whatever pain we're going through, we are going to get through it, and Spirit is going to be our guide, and we are going to learn from things, and we are going to spend our time, instead of being stuck, we're going to bring new ideas to life. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to do things that make us feel happy, things that make us feel passionate, and we're going to allow Spirit to inspire us and help us along the way. So how we're going to end this reading here, you guys, is we are going to see how our Spirit team as in our ancestors or people or spirits, you know, on the other side, how they're working with us, what they want us to remember, what messages they have for us today. So I'm going to go into this deck here, which is my Cosmic Contracts Oracle, and just kind of see like what they want us to remember or what they're helping us with. I love this, guys. This keeps coming up over and over again. Passion. I will make you hungry for more. Passions. It's not an accident, you guys. Remember the King of Wands? It's all about wanting more, igniting your passions, doing things that you love, you know, speaking from the soul, allowing your soul to soar and shine, you know? So that right there is just, it's very key. It's very key that we continue to do things that we enjoy. It's very key that we just do things that we love, that bring us passion and that bring us joy. So I love that message. Okay, so let's see how else they are coming through. Oh, counterpart. I will touch the deepest parts of you. So this is again telling me here that someone on the other side you see as a counterpart, right? You see them as either your other half. So some of you may have lost your twin flame, you know, to physical death. Some of you, this could just be your best friend, somebody, you know, like a soul family member, the person that's coming through, or the energy, I should say, that's coming through. You feel very connected and they feel very connected to you still. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is amazing. You know what's so interesting is that I never used this deck in this way, but I felt called to, and look at how it's coming through. Somebody is your guardian angel. They're guiding you through your darkness, through your darkest times, through your toughest times. They're helping you, right? They're helping you. So they're helping you to get in touch with the deepest parts of yourself, even if that's dark. It's about doing that shadow work. It's about feeling that grief, but it is also about doing something with this grief, making that pain matter, right? I always say that. Doing something constructive, bettering your life, making improvements, learning from the past instead of getting stuck in the past. Oh, I love that. So that is how we are being guided at this time from spirits on the other side. So let's go ahead and get some messages. These two. I was greeted by loved ones. It was a glorious reunion. So whoever has passed on was greeted by other loved ones. They were not alone. There was a reunion that they experienced. They did not cross over, and you know, they were not alone. They were you know, greeted by other people connected to the both of you. That's really beautiful. And we have look for the hearts that I send you. So if you guys see hearts, if you guys see hearts like in clouds or just anything, hearts, this is a sign from your spirit team sending you love. I love that. I often ride in the car and I travel with you. So some of you guys have conversations, right, with your spirit team in your car. They're actually with you as you're traveling. Okay, they're with you. Maybe they're communicating to you through songs, through music. I know. And I see the gifts that you leave for me. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I love this because remember, you guys, I've been leaving treats for Chibs every night. And so I love that I love that that's a message for me, that he knows and sees the gifts that I leave for him. So maybe some of you guys are also doing the same. You're leaving offerings for your loved ones, and they're definitely acknowledging it, and they're picking it up. Okay. That's what we're getting here. So we're going to shuffle this deck, which is full of numbers and letters, and just see if there's any specific names or signs that come through for someone on the other side. We have A. We have M. So we have Ma. So this could be somebody's mother. We have the name Max, okay? So that's specific. Max, these could of course be somebody's initials here. Maxine, Max. We have Bam. So the only thing that I can think of immediately with Bam is from Jackass, because I believe that there was a character named Bam. I could be wrong, but that is what's coming to me right now. And then we have O. So we have Bomb, B-O-M, Bomb. But that's even though it's not how you spell bomb, but it could just be like love bomb, or, you know, just some kind of like, what is that called? That pop bomb. What is that? There's like a popsicle, right? I can't remember what it is. Something bomb. I could be totally wrong about that, but that's what's coming to me. Okay. We also have ox. So it could be somebody that was born the year of the ox in Chinese astrology. That could be it as well. We also have box. So there could be a special box that you have with someone's belongings, or even their ashes. Okay. That could be something as well. So there's acknowledgement there. We have beam. I beam with joy every time I look at you. I beam with joy every time I see your happiness. I love that. Okay. So we have, let's see. We have, what am I seeing here? Mex. Like could be like Mexican, like Mexican food or something like that. Mexico, kind of seeing that as well. And we have 2. So the number 2. And then we have 0. So 20, or 20. So that could be specific for someone. And then we have P. So I have the names Max, Maxine, or Pam, right? But we also have map. So there could be like a map. Somebody could have really enjoyed traveling. So that's also coming through. Okay. And we have Pa, we have Mom and Pa. The only thing I can think of right there is Little House on the Prairie. So that could be a special, like a show. I know I love Little House on the Prairie. So that's kind of a cool little thing. We have Peas. So somebody could have really loved peas. Or Sweet Pea. That's Popeye. Or that could just be somebody's nickname, Sweet Pea. There's all kinds of things here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there so you guys can kind of take a look. It would be awesome if you guys wanted to tell me other things that you guys might see that I am not seeing, but that is what I have for you guys today. So anyways, I just want to say thanks so much again for all of your love and support. And you know, I rarely do any personal shares, and it's very uncomfortable for me to even post this today. So obviously, if you guys are seeing this, this just means I got over my uncomfortability with putting myself out there to either be, you know, judged or just whatever. But anyways, I just want to say thanks so much for those of you that reached out. If you chose to listen or not, it's totally fine. I hope that these messages were helpful to you guys. I know that a lot of this reading had a lot to do with things that I'm going through, but that's how Spirit works sometimes. Spirit uses, people that channel things and, do cards and things like that, uses their experiences sometimes to resonate for other people that could be going through similar things as well. And I know that a lot of you have lost loved ones and also your beloved pets. So I know I'm not the only one that's going through things. So I just send love and light to all of you, healing. And just as a community, we're just going to get through all this together. So anyways, you guys, thanks so much for watching. You guys take care. All right. Bye-bye.